Hello guys, this is Attila from the Third Coat. So I'm in the middle of a job where there's quite a bit of plastering repairs to be done, a bit of work with the cornices, but that's nothing major. I haven't had to install new cornices here, just to retape some cracks and what have you. But because I'm using both products here, the base coat and the cornice cement. They are both made by CRS, I think. CSR, that's the name. That's the name of the company. CSR Gyprock base coat and cornice cement. And so I'd like to compare these two products, what they can be used for, and what the main differences are between them, and why they are not necessarily interchangeable. So the main difference between the two products, the advantage of the cornice cement over the base coat is that it goes tacky quite quickly. So the cornice cement, because it needs to carry quite a bit of weight, of the weight of the cornice, it can be quite heavy, so you need the adhesive to be, pretty tacky as soon as you put on the cornice. So I know that a lot of people sort of try to work around this by installing nails or screws into the cornice, like you see some of these repairs are due to the nails sort of coming away a little bit and creating some issues there. So you should never use nails and screws to hold up cornices. You should never hit a nail or screw through the actual cornice. What you should do is maybe put some nails underneath the cornice to just hold it up while the plaster is still setting, or even on the side. But screwing or nailing through the cornice will cause some issues down the track. So that's the main reason why the cornice cement is more suited, obviously, as its name says. That's what it is designed for, to apply cornices. Whereas the base coat, it does not create such a quick bond. So that's the second difference comes from this. As a result, the base coat stays workable for a longer period, which is actually very handy when you're taping joints, because whereas with a cornice, generally you should only install one cornice at a time, and after you've done that, you need to mix a new batch of cornice cement. So that's just the only way to do it, because if you try to mix up like a huge bucket of cornice cement and do one cornice, put it on, and then you want to try to put on the second cornice with the same sort of cornice cement, then that will already be pretty much unworkable. Even if it's a 90-minute cornice cement, it just won't be good enough. So you must only apply one section of cornice at a time, and every section of cornice requires a new mixture of cornice cement. That's the only proper way to do it, I'm afraid. Whereas with the base coat, when you're taping joints, you can mix up quite a reasonable amount, depending on how fast you're working, obviously. But if you've got a whole house or a few rooms or quite a lot of joints that need to be taped, then you know, the mixture will stay workable for a reasonable amount of time. So quite a few sort of corners you can do with the one mixture. So that's definitely to the advantage of the base coat. So it remains workable for a longer period, and you know, you need it to sort of be quite flowing, because that's how it will get into the little holes and little gaps that you have on the tape. So there's all kinds of different tapes out there, but even those sticky tapes, which I don't use, but those fiberglass tapes, which you could potentially stick onto the wall and just go over it with the base coat. Well, that's not how it's supposed to be used. You should apply a layer of base coat and then put on that tape, and then embed it with top it off with a bit of base coat, and then you know, push out any excess, and then once that's hard and mostly dry, you can put a second base coat over it. So yeah, that's how you want to apply it, just to ensure that it gets embedded into the base coat properly. But yeah, so those are the two main differences in terms of like structural sort of use and what they're designed for. So the cornice cement is much tackier while it's still setting. So you can use it as an adhesive to a greater effect. It holds up the weight of the cornice much better, whereas the base coat doesn't need to hold up a lot of weight, and it sort of stays workable for a longer period. But there's one last difference, I suppose, which is mainly just in appearance. The base coat gives you quite a rough finish, so it is not suitable as a finishing coat. It gives you a rough texture. I can't show you an example here because I've topped everything with smoothing compound, but it gives you a rough texture. Whereas the cornice cement, if you apply a cornice and then you fill the edges and with a small tool or whatever you're using, then before it hardens, you got to smooth it off with a sponge, and with that sponge finish, that will actually be a fine enough finish to serve as a top coat. So you don't have to smooth it off with a topping compound or anything. The cornice cement. In fact, like you can use cornice cement just as a repairing compound to solid plaster surfaces where there's some holes or cracks in the surface. You can use cornice cement and without using anything on top of it. So that gives you a pretty smooth finish. Obviously, being a setting compound, you need to make sure that you apply a suitable primer over it, because not all primers will stick properly to setting compounds. So that's another issue. So yeah, so that's the third difference really, just that the base coat gives you a rough texture, and the cornice cement gives you a pretty smooth finish. So just to sum it up, the main differences between the base coat and the cornice cement is that the base coat stays workable for a longer period, and it sort of keeps flowing for a bit longer period of time. It allows you to do more corners and more joints. and it sort of allows the base coat to sort of get into the little holes and gaps of the tape, whereas the cornice cement tacks on pretty quickly. It sets faster, even when they're both 45-minute compounds. The cornice cement will tack a bit faster, and it's not very workable for a long time. So once you butter it on, you got to put it on quickly, put on the cornice quickly, and it will tack on nicely. But you can't use the same mixture to put on a second section of cornice. You just won't have time. And then the third main difference is that in the finish, the base coat is not a finishing compound. It leaves you a rough texture. You will need a topping compound over it, and the cornice cement can be used as a finishing repair compound, or like if you're applying cornice, then you don't need to worry about the finish, because the cornice cement will look nice and smooth once it's sponged off properly. So those are the three main differences between the products. Hope this is helpful. Have a good day.